Hey everyone, and welcome back. As promised, I'm going to get into the reassembly of the blacksmith forge blower. This one is this one in particular is made by Canedy Otto. It is the Royal Western Chief, and it is, I believe, about 110 to 130 years old. So there's quite a bit of care that's being taken in the restoration of this blower. Everything inside of the casing I did not paint, right? So inside the casing I didn't paint it, but I did paint the outside. I'm not finished with the paint. I still got to do some some fine painting and whatnot on the letters and whatever, but it's at least painted enough for reassembly. And I did go ahead and I did not paint the carriage assembly, but I did paint everything else, as you can see. I even painted the inside of the blower where the impeller is. I went ahead and painted it because it's not really that it needs it. It's not going to be seen, but this forge is going to be outside, so I wanted to make sure that it was covered and protected against the elements so it doesn't start rusting, including the actual impeller itself. So, um, so that's that. I'll take you down here. I think that's about good. Some of the tools you're going to need: screwdriver, 1/2 inch socket and wrench, 7/16 inch wrench, 3/8 inch wrench, and a 5/16 wrench. I've got a wire brush on standby, and product-wise, I'm going to be using some of the red thread lock, and then there was a gasket. I think it was asbestos, some kind of fibrous gasket that was that sealed the two case halves. I'm just going to use some ultra black RTV. For the oil, this case does contain oil. I went ahead and used 15W40. This is just some old diesel oil I had left over from when I did the oil change on my truck. I don't think it really matters what oil you use, as long as you use common sense. You don't want to use anything really thin. I guess it really all depends on what condition, what elements, what environments you're in, as to what weight you want to use. But this is a hand cranked blower. It's not like it's a vehicle or anything. Any lubrication is better than what you probably have in it right now, which is nothing, and what they probably ran with for years, which is nothing. So with that being said, I've got some here for assembly. I'll put some more in there at the end. So here's all my hardware and everything that goes with it. All my gearing is over here, and let's see if assembly goes as smoothly as the disassembly did. So see if I can remember all this. So I'm just using a bunch of oil to get it, and I'll go ahead and dip the gear in and go ahead and get it nice and oiled up. You'll need a ton of it on there. Well, you also want to coat all the metal surfaces. Even though it'll get oil later, you're just ensuring that it's getting good and covered. And that way assembly, this way assembly will go much smoother. And try and put a dry assembly together. So there goes the bull gear. Spinning very nice and smooth. Just kind of work all that oil in there. Alright, next comes the metal gears. Remember the other one that looks similar has a phenolic gear on it. This guy right here is phenolic. See if I can bump this screen up without getting oil all over it. And we'll just roll this guy all up in here. Basically just dunk it. The other one was too big. That's what she said, right? So just let it kind of drip off, and then the small gear is going to go down first to engage with that bull gear. I'm letting kind of some of the oil drip in there, but not too much, because that's a sealed cavity, and if you put too much oil into that hole, you'll basically have hydraulic pressure that keeps that shaft from seating at the bottom. So be careful, don't put too much oil in there. Something else I probably should have done, in fact I'm going to do it. Oy, it sucked right out of there. Let's leave that here. And this is such a nice tight fit. I really don't like pulling it in and out a lot, but I believe this is necessary, and that's good enough. All I wanted to do was get some oil on the inside of that casing to make sure that it doesn't start rusting up either, you know, years down the road, or whatever. Just getting it nice and coated. I won't be able to reach that once this assembly is good to go. Let's go ahead and cover the rest of it. Just coat the insides. Let it drink it up. All right. Yeah, got too much oil in there. Now it's got that pressure that I was talking about, not letting it seat. I can feel it. It's nice and squishy, so I'm actually going to have to get some of that out. Maybe not going as smoothly as I want it, but could be worse. Hopefully we're good there. Perfect. That wasn't too bad. Alright. Now I need to start assembling so I can get this surface nice and coated. This is that carriage unit. It will hold 2 sets of gears. It'll hold the small gear and that one phenolic gear. And again, this is just to make sure that it gets coated, prevents it from rusting. Because this case is going to have oil in it, but it's not going to be full of oil. It'll basically just be sitting at the bottom of the gears, kind of like in your car with an oil pan. All right. All right, so we're good and coated there. And then, see if I can remember. See, this is going to go like so, which means this gear is going to go right here. Get that oil all nice and worked in. And then this guy will go just like this. Get those meshed together. Slide it up in. Good engagement. Good smooth gears. And then we have left to do on this section. Just put this retainer which will keep both of these slides over this shaft. And then we'll get captured by at the top. We'll hold both of those gears in. Now I'm not using thread locker on here. I don't think there's really any need for it. And we can tighten everything up. Everything's good and finger tight. Okay. At this point, it will all slide in. Just Just get everything aligned, all the shafting. Because you have two shafts going in, you have the shafts coming up from the bull gear and the second gear, and then the end of this shaft has to go into its own hole. And all the gears have to align like so. Wow, that's beautiful. I guess in hindsight, you could use a little bit thinner oil would help the perpetual motion of the handle, but that's the assembly. I got these 3 bolts. Get in here. And I'll go ahead. Get all the major oil off the gloves. After I tighten up these screws, or these bolts, the next major thing that will happen is closing these 2 halves up. For that, I'm going to have to clean the oil off of that gasket sealing surface. So I don't want it interfering with the RTV gasket. Alright, so the assembly with the gearbox, minus closing the halves, is complete. That out of the way. And start cleaning up this oil. Before we get too far into that, go ahead and tighten these guys down. Alright. Now I want to make sure I've got good engagement. And twisting it this way, we'll put that smaller gear that's at the bottom of this and engage it with that second gear. So I'm just kind of holding the pressure over just a little bit. You don't want it too far. Awesome. You want these tight, but I have nothing really to hold this thing, so to me that should be good. Alright. I'll come come back and finish these guys up. All right. This is probably a good spot to kind of just take a step back. Make sure you're not missing anything. All the bolts are tight. All the gears are engaging. I didn't miss any clips or washers or anything like that. There aren't any in this. Alright, now it's imperative that I get that oil off of there. So I'm just using a little bit of degreaser. Try and get it into that groove. I'm not trying to get the degreaser all up in the oil either, so. It's actually cooperating quite nicely. Yeah, when you're using paper towels or something like that, I'm just kind of thinking out loud as I do this, but what you don't want to do, you got to pay attention, and you don't want to pieces of paper towel to break off and end up in your gearbox. I know I'm probably treating this with a lot more cleanliness than I probably need, but it's the way that I am, so. Alright, so that's good and clean. And get all this out of the way. And so far everything's looking good. It's taking a little more time than I thought, but reassembly always takes more time than disassembly. Alright, so that's about that for this section of it. Now we have to direct our attention to the other half. Alright, now I did not mark which way these go, but I think there's only one way it can go. So these two bolts come out, and they're not the same length. So, and this is just the old school nut that came on it that captures the end of the stud. So, I do know that the air cock is going to come out about right here. So this, from here down, will be full of oil. Pretty much that bottom 2/5 or bottom third, one of the two. So let's see. Both of the holes that you can see which one's the air cock. Maybe they're not, hopefully they're not the same. With my luck, they probably are. Of course they are. So I am going to look back to some photos real quick. All right. Handle's going to go over there. Sorry about that. I should have orientated this before I started shooting, but I didn't. Okay, so the mount will be here. Which means this trying not to get oil all over everything. There we go, that's what I wanted. So it will go oh, not like that. Just want to kind of get it that's the way it is on the picture. Well, the air cock is up here, and that can't happen. That can't be like that. Well, maybe this has been pulled apart before. It cannot be like that. I'm going to have to clean that over again. what I'm trying to get is one of these two holes right in the vicinity of my thumb, but if I go this way, it's pointed to the back. Let's see. It has it like that. The photos show it just like that. So, well, yeah, because it will be pointing down. And that is, yeah, that's good. So just like that. So now that I have that all figured out, what I'm trying to get at is that this is going to be pointed down at an angle like this. The hole that I want right here is for the air cock. So we can go ahead and put that in. Alright. Leave it open. Go ahead and plug the other one, which should be right here. And the only thing we have left to do to get these together is to put that gasket on there. Leave that like so. Now I gotta clean it. I know how it goes though, so that's good. Well, you guys get the idea. I'm going to put that gasket on there, and I'll put the gasket material on there, put everything in, put the case halves together, finger tighten them, or get them nice and good and finger tight so it squeezes that gasket together, and then you're supposed to let it wait for an hour, and then you tighten it down to your desired torque specs. So that's what I'll be doing, and then the rest of it is just attaching the impeller onto the other end of the shaft that comes through that hole, and then using these 6 bolts to bolt the 2 case halves together, the impeller case halves, and then putting the handle on. And you guys don't need to see that. You'll see it at the end. You'll see the end product. So sorry about the unpreparedness, but that's, that's kind of comes with the way I do my videos. So hope you enjoyed watching the reassembly. if you're putting this together, I hope it helps. As you can see, there are a few things that hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. I'll also coat the inside of this with oil. Since the whole case doesn't receive the oil, it's probably a good thing that you coat the inside of that casing with oil. Trying to think of anything else. And when I go to fill it up, technically you're supposed to wait 24 hours once you've torqued it down before the RTV, or in reference to the RTV, before you put the oil in it. But I'll probably let it cure for a couple hours, and then I'll throw some oil in it and go to town. Maybe we'll see some blacksmithing later. All right. Yeah, that's it. So friends and family, I love you. Everyone else, I will see you on the next video. If you're digging what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. If you got comments or suggestions or whatever, leave them down below. And subscribe. Till next time. Later.